And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your host, Fearon.
Sit down, shut up, and listen up.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon here with you. Coming up, got my interview with Diamond Dallas Page from just a little under 2 months ago. We have got that coming up in a little bit. And I'll talk some DDP Yoga as well, because there's certainly a lot to talk about with that. We'll also get into some WWE coming up. I mentioned Monday Night Raw this past Monday, along with a Memorial Day tribute, which is kind of funny. They were celebrating an American holiday while Raw was in Canada, in Calgary, Alberta, Canada for it. Go figure. But they also honored one of Calgary's own, Bret the Hitman Hart. It was Bret Hart Appreciation Day, not just in the WWE, but apparently in the city of Calgary. They actually gave some awards to Bret and whatnot, and after Raw was over, they made sure to have people go to the WWE app to on the phones, which, don't worry, I'm not going to be like WWE and tell you how to download an app while live on the air, because, yes, Nick, they did actually do that.
Look, they tell us everything else. I mean,
Yeah, no,
you can't blame the referees. I mean, they can tell us anything,
Yeah, in this case, they tell you, just in case, you've never used a phone before, a smartphone, and don't know how to download an app, They tell you how to go and download the WWE app. I think it's a little on the condescending side, just a smidge. But not like I haven't done anything condescending on this show.
It couldn't be one of the Brainiac, fans out there that.
Well, I mean, there are. I would imagine that. I mean, if fans.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know that. I would imagine they would be able to know how to download an app.
I haven't got a clue.
You haven't? Oh, well, there you go. Watch Monday Night Raw, and they'll tell you how to download the app.
One of those brainiacs, you got to, I know what I'm doing, I think.
Oh, there you go. But yes, on the app after Raw was over, they had a few people come out and say some kind words to Bret, including Pat Patterson, which Bret, I think, kind of got himself in a little bit of trouble, and we'll get back into that story in just a second. But also Chris Jericho came out and had a few words, one fellow Canadian to another. And, of course, Shawn Michaels, very instrumental in the Montreal screw job from way too many years ago at this point. Gosh, 15 and a half, almost 16 years. Yeah, this November it'll be 16 years since the Montreal incident. Amazing how time flies with that. And also Vince McMahon came out and had a few kind words for Bret as well. Very odd to see the three of them in the same ring after everything had happened in Montreal back in '97. But going back to Pat Patterson for a second, Bret actually issued an apology for a comment he made during that whole thing, as he was trying to make a lighthearted joke, and I guess he felt he offended somebody. At one point, as Patterson was kind of going into his speech and thanking Bret for everything, he dropped to one knee to shake his hand, and Bret made a joke of Patterson, saying that he always he gets a little scared whenever Patterson's dropping to his knees, and.
I'm sorry.
Well, I mean,
I'm not. That's funny.
The backstory to that, Nick, is Patterson's homosexuality is probably the least kept secret. I mean, it's one of those things that's been widely known. It was kind of like Paul Lynde back in the 70s with Hollywood Squares. It was one of those things where nobody said anything about it, but everybody knew.
But Paul Lynde wasn't masculine. Okay, and that's probably why.
True. Yeah.
He came off differently.
Exactly.
Okay.
Patterson, he came off as masculine, obviously, a former wrestler, former commentator, referee, a bunch of different things with the World Wrestling Federation going back to the 70s.
And wrestling is a manly sport.
Exactly. But even in spite of that, pretty much everybody still knew. So that, I mean,
I
don't know. I don't think it's any different than...
Well, there was also charges against him also.
Back in the late 90s, where Patterson and cohort Gerald Briscoe would come out, and and Jim Ross would have a few comments such as "he's single fellas," or Patterson does rear end work at the Briscoe Brothers Body Shop, stuff like that. I
don't get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hunk.
Exactly. So I don't know. Brett issued an apology. Whether it was needed or not, I don't know. But he, I guess, just in case he thought there was any backlash, he decided to kind of nip it in the bud before. Really?
That was pretty close, Nip it in the
bud. B-U-D.
I know that.
Yes.
I said it's pretty close. Close.
Yes. A letter makes all the difference.
Yes, it does.
But yes, the tribute was rather nice. That's where I was going with that, and mentioning the apology, whether or not it necessarily felt warranted. All right, let me dump out of this and get into the DDP interview. Now I've mentioned it a couple times over the last few weeks here, but courtesy of my good buddy RC from Completely Damaged, longtime friend of the show. He's been on here a number of times, and now he is venturing into the radio realm as well, courtesy of Montgomery County Community College Radio. Every Tuesday morning, he is on there. I believe it's montcoradio.com, and he actually has me as kind of his cohort sidekick. And for a little while, I kind of declared it my show because, well, I've forgotten more about radio than he knows. Go ahead, Nick. I know you're chomping at the bit on that one.
No, I'm really not. I just...
It gives me a chance to heal up a little bit, I think is what it is. It gives me a chance to kind of be a jerk.
Did I make a face or something?
A little bit.
I didn't mean to.
Because I know you've forgotten more about radio than I've known at this point.
I never knew to begin with. That's how I forgot.
Oh, that's how you forgot? Okay. Yeah. But no, RC's he's doing some good things. It's kind of like a nice round table panel discussion thing he's got going on each week. It's Tuesdays from 11 to noon.
I have a nephew named RC. Does that count?
That works.
Okay, good.
I drink RC Cola every once in a while. That'll get the job done too. Right. But yeah, he was able to organize with his school, with Temple University, to get DDP to come up to the Ambler campus, and he actually did 2 sessions of his DDP yoga, and as he puts it, it ain't your mama's yoga. He initially branded it YRG, Yoga for Regular Guys, and he has a whole line of DVDs out, and I decided to... being secure in my masculinity, decided to bust out the yoga mat and see what DDP yoga was all about. And after an hour of it, it whooped my butt. No question. I mean, it was very intense. So surprisingly, I had the breath left to grab the microphone and get a nice 5-minute interview with DDP after the fact. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the experience after the interview here with Diamond Dallas Page. 1490 WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly. We are live here at Temple University Ambler campus with Diamond Dallas Page, the leader of DDP Yoga, the master of the diamond cutter, and I just got through an hour workout here with you. I'm surprised I have any breath left.
Well, you just took it at a different level. As you can see, I can make it the easiest workout or the most challenging, so you obviously challenge yourself.
So let's talk a little bit. I mean, your career just has like so many different paths. I mean, first being a wrestler and now being a yoga trainer. I mean, I'm sorry. Not your mama's yoga. This is DDP yoga. Yeah, exactly. I got to get that right. Absolutely, DDP yoga. It's a completely different level, and I found that out firsthand here. But let's talk a little bit about your wrestling career. I mean, do you have a particular favorite moment that jumps out at you?
Sure. Probably it was after, because I started in 90, 91, 97. My career blew up. I didn't start wrestling until I was 35. My career didn't take off until I was 40. That was 1996. In 97, I got an angle with the NWO and Randy Savage, because it was Hulk Hogan, #1 in the world, and probably still, after 35 years, still the same. And then there was Randy Savage. He was the guy. And Randy controlled his entire career. Like, nobody said, well, Randy, you're going to wrestle Diamond Dallas Page, and you're going to put him over. Meaning he was going to let me win, because it's all predetermined,
Say it ain't so.
Say it is so, dude. The bottom line is Randy Savage picked me to work with, and he laid down the first time we ever did it, and I beat him in the middle with the diamond cutter. It changed my career. So that would be the first pivotal moment. And then 2 years later at the same pay-per-view at Spring Stampede, I was in a four-way dance with a bunch of nobodies: Sting, Flair, and Hogan.
Who?
Hogan. And Randy Savage was the guest referee. And when I beat Flair with a diamond cutter in the middle of the ring, Randy Savage handed me the world title. So it was a pretty pivotal moment for me on both ends.
I would certainly say so. No disagreement here. Now, you've been out of the ring for a little while, but keeping in tremendous shape for 57 years old. Let's talk a little bit.
7 years young.
I stand corrected once again. 57 years young. I was going to say I'm 31 years old, so I'm trying to change that. But let's talk a little bit about DDP Yoga, and for those who haven't seen the experience, what can they come to expect from it?
Well, have you gone to my site? Have you checked out DDPYoga.com?
I've skimmed it. Haven't gone in depth with it, but I think after today I'm going to have to look at I know you have some DVDs available, and definitely check that out and put the order with the little bit of money I have left after WrestleMania.
Did you see the disabled veteran that I helped? The guy who was 297 pounds, 5'6". Then he walked with knee braces, back brace, and wraparound canes. Have you seen that video yet?
I did see that video, and I've been on our show. We've been chronicling all the help that you've been doing with Jake Roberts as well as with Scott Hall. I mean, how's all that going with those guys?
Well, it's been an amazing journey. First, I want to talk about the disabled veteran. In that video on DDPYoga.com, you can see it's got over 8.5 million views. It helped to blow my company into a multi-million-dollar company after 10 years. I helped him 6 years ago. Today, he's stronger. He can do stuff I can't do. And as you saw in this workout, I only did a couple of things, but I can do a lot. And he can do more stuff than I can at 53 years young. It's amazing the journey that he's gone through. Now I've got Scott Hall and Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake is down about 60-some pounds. He was literally so fragile. His body was so beat up. He looked like 100 years old. If you look at his beginning pictures, day one when I went to work with him, and where he is today, he looks like a completely different guy. He's down 60 pounds. The weight's awesome that he lost the weight because less wear and tear on his body, but it's how his body feels. Because like I was preaching to you guys earlier, he eats real food because he lives with me now, and that's the only thing in my house. It's real food.
Quick funny story about that. I remember when you were meeting with our buddy RC Cameron over here, and I think you were sitting down at a restaurant and he ordered a grilled cheese sandwich, and you were like, "Oh, you're killing me, bro."
I only eat real food, and I try to encourage other people to eat stuff that's not genetically modified. It's called GMO, genetically modified organism, and I try to encourage people to eat the real stuff,
Certainly a healthy and wealthy message, to say the least. But thanks for a few minutes of your time, DDP, Diamond Dallas Page. Greatly appreciate it.
It's been your pleasure.
It most certainly has.
Yes, Diamond Dallas Page, a really, really cool guy. And, we've been corresponding back and forth. I've been doing DDP Yoga now for just over 5 weeks. And I have to admit, the eating real food, I haven't quite gone over as on that yet. I've dabbled with some things like one of the suggestions he has is is kind of switching out dairy. So I've actually been drinking almond milk, believe it or not. So that's it's about little switches, but I can't get rid of the various other food that I know I shouldn't be having, but. Also, weight loss hasn't exactly been an issue with me since I've already dropped about 30 pounds or so in the last year. So I'm already at 190. I'm right around where my doc wants me to be. But it's about gaining strength, gaining flexibility, and I've certainly done a lot of that. And just to give you an idea of some of the DVDs and what they do, without giving too much away, but the main thing is the Diamond Dozen. It's like the 13 basic moves, because DDP said he was never good at math, that or moves and positions that are primarily used in the DDP Yoga workout, and then there are some extensions and branchings off from there. Definitely recommend it. It's amazing. I have the energy even to do this show running on zero sleep right now. It's kind of funny how how that has helped build this energy. Otherwise, I would probably have been out a while ago, to say the least. But definitely check it out, ddpyoga.com, and if you get the DVDs and sign up, just look me up. I'm part of the team there, and I could always use more friends. At this point, I don't have any on the site, so I could always use at least a friend if you happen to have DDP Yoga. I'm looking toward either Ross or Eric from the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, who I remember talked about getting at. I don't know if he actually did or not. I'll have to send out some messages or something like that about that over the course of the week. But the workouts, they're as short in length as there's a Red Hot Core workout that it's 12 and a half minutes, but it really burns your core, all the way up to the most difficult one is a double black diamond workout, which is 65 minutes and change of yoga. And it definitely stretches you out, it loosens you up. I'm feeling flexibility in my spine, that especially in my lower back, that I haven't felt in ages. Lower back pain that I had, that's gone away. So a lot of benefits to it. Definitely worth checking out. Definitely want to recommend that.
I'm your friend.
You're my friend, Nick?
I'm your friend, Fearon.
Okay. TeamDDPYoga.com.
In the name of Bret Hart, I want to apologize. You were making a face a little while ago that you misconstrued as questioning you.
Oh.
I took a page out of Bret Hart's book.
Take a page right out of Bret Hart's book. There you go.
That makes me a wrestler, huh? No?
I was going to say, some people have done less and considered themselves wrestlers.
Okay, so then I guess I fit right in.
We'll go with that.
Actually, I liked wrestling in high school. Though I know we're not on the same page here.
No.
But, it was slightly different.
Still working on getting in the same book.
That's what I use.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can figure that out, get our pages in the right set. We'll come back. We've got a whole bunch of news and notes to get into. And actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll get into the news and notes, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit of WWE Raw, a little bit of a segment that set up one of our two matches that are now set up for Payback coming up in just 2 weeks from tomorrow. Let's, we'll go ahead and take care of our second time out. We'll come back, and then we'll take care of that here on Pro Wrestling Weekly. Let me give you the numbers, 215-949-3232, or toll free at 888-922-2149. You can also chime in on the Facebook feedback. There's certainly been a little bit of that, a few responses to the Pat Patterson thing. I don't know how many of them are necessarily safe for air. And John chiming in, John from Northeast Philly, he's always good for a laugh. He's like the Statler and or Waldorf, unofficially, of WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly. He said, from Steve Austin's official Twitter, Steve Austin BSR, the loudest crow in the world is screaming his head off right outside my window. A stunner may be in his immediate future. Where do they come up with these things? Who knows? Obviously, it must be a slow day down at the Broken Skull Ranch for Stone Cold Steve Austin. All right, coming back, news, notes, Raw, and a whole bunch more. Your phone calls as well, more Facebook feedback. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
And I'm still your friend.